So, thank you all for joining us and coming to the Transition to College program. We are lucky to have 7 of our 2021 Fairport graduates with us today to share their experience of their first year of college. Each year we offer this opportunity to share with you some things to be thinking about as you are potentially moving on to the next chapter of your life after you graduate to college. And so my name is Mrs. Newtown. I am one of the counselors here at Fairport High School. And we are going to jump right in. I'm going to introduce our panel. We're going to pose some questions to our panel. And then at the end, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to ask questions to our panelists if there's anything that you feel we haven't covered during our presentation today. Okay? All right. So with us today, we have Allie DeKang. She is attending Ohio State University. Aiden Fish at Holton College. Aiden also plays soccer at Holton. We have Derek Howe attending Hobart College. We have Parker Kump, who attends Syracuse University, also an athlete at the university, plays soccer. So those of you thinking about athletics, we can tap into both Parker and Aiden for some questions. We have Elizabeth Pasalugo, who is attending Monroe Community College, but will also be transferring to Nazareth College. So if any of you are thinking about starting at a two-year college and transferring, Elizabeth would be a good resource for you to ask questions to at the end today. We also have Billy Teasdale, who is attending SUNY Geneseo, and Carter Ticelli, who is attending Michigan State University. Okay? All right, so panelists, let's get started. So let's jump right in. What would you say was the biggest fear going off to college?
Does anyone answer? Okay, I was just like going 6 hours away from home. I didn't know anyone going to school at Ohio State. It was like really intimidating going to a gigantic school too. Just like I was really worried about meeting people and just like finding my way.
So the distance and not knowing anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Who else would like to answer that?
I would just say that, like Allie, I just didn't know anybody that was going to Hobart. So I think just trying to reach out and like make new friends, like that would be, like that's just what I was. Yeah, that would be the.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's probably the consensus from most of you, right? Going off not knowing anyone. So what did you do, or what did the campus provide for opportunities for you to be more comfortable and meet people?
I don't know about other people's schools, but mine, there was definitely a lot of like the first couple weekends, there was a lot of freshman welcome things outside and events that, people could go to. And then in the fall, like the football games were big. So, you go there, you meet people, there's tailgating on campus that like the school provides and just, a bunch of stuff like that.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, so obviously they have like orientation stuff and they like set you into groups. So you get to like meet people that way. And then obviously they have like a club expo as well, where like they have like essentially like every club like outside, like talking about like what club they have and like advertising themselves. So like they certainly like make sure they put the clubs out too.
Okay. Carter?
For my program specifically, we had like a mixer event at like an arcade place. Basically, it was like axe throwing, go-karting, stuff like that. So made a lot of friends in my dorm that way in the first couple days. I think that was maybe like the first 1 or 2 days I got there.
Right. So what I'm hearing that there's definitely opportunities to get out there and meet new people. It's just taking that step and taking advantage of those opportunities. Okay, very good. Okay, so what about like a typical class schedule? Like what would your day typically look like? I know it's clearly different than high school, and each day may have looked a little bit different. So can you talk a little bit about what your daily routine would look like?
Yeah, for me, I would usually get up and I never like went to the dining hall for breakfast. I would always just eat something in my room, like a granola bar or something. And then I would go to class. And between my classes, I didn't really like to go back to my room because I would always just lay in bed and do nothing. So I would always go to the library or like the union or something to try to get some work done or like a cafe. There we had a lot of like on-campus cafe options. So I would do that and then I would like go to the rest of my classes and then after that I would meet my roommate for dinner and then after dinner we would just like go back to our room, sometimes go to the gym or something. There was a lot of opportunities to do like classes at the gym, which were like fun and also a way to meet people. So we did some of those, and like that was some of the stuff that we did throughout our day.
Okay. What else? Like to share their daily routine.
Well, I think like for me, it's really different because I like commuted to school, so I still live at home. So for me, like again, like I like my classes to be kind of like back to back because like I don't want to have to like go home in between and stuff. So like I also work too, so like I kind of go to school, go to work, and that's like kind of what I do. But it's been good though. So.
So for you commuting, it was important for you to try to schedule all of your classes either all in the morning, all in the afternoon to prevent having to have a lot of downtime.
Yeah. Like for like in the fall semester, I had like a few like half hour or like hour breaks like in between my classes, and like even like when that would happen again, I would just kind of like find a spot and like do homework, kind of like be productive, so that I wasn't just like wasting time.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. How about our student athletes from that perspective? I know you all have a pretty regimented schedule. Can you talk a bit about that for any students we have in the audience that are potentially going to be athletes at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty similar. I'll wake up around 8 o'clock, get breakfast, go to class, and then normally we'll practice either at like 4:30 or 6 o'clock. So if you're going to be a student athlete, it's just important that like when you have practice, when you have to be there, you have to like plan around classes, and sometimes it involves like emailing your professors if you have like an away game and you're going to miss class. So just like having that balance. But it's a lot more freedom than the high school schedule, which is like go, 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 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. This is more like, okay, maybe I'll have like 2 classes this day, 4 classes this day, but it gives you a lot of free time and which you can use studying or napping. Like you can do what you want, really.
Okay. Parker?
My schedule was kind of the same as Aiden. I would wake up. We had to be practices at 11 in the spring, so we had to be in the locker room at 10, and then practice for a few hours. And then for me, I had like I think 17 credits, so I was pretty much in class all the way up to like dinner time after practice. But like Aiden said, especially if you're in a sport, it kind of controls what classes and when you can take those classes because you can't have any overlap, obviously. But like you said, for games and stuff like that, it's really easy. You just email your professors, and everyone's really understanding if you have to miss something.
Okay. So in college, there's a lot of temptations, right? Like friends are going to do this, friends are going to do that. Tell me a little bit about how you developed some self-discipline and what that looked like in regards to delegating time to study, delegating time to hang out with friends. Let's talk a little bit about that self-discipline that maybe it took a little while for you to establish, but let's talk about how you did that.
When that GPA comes out, it kind of hits you like a truck.
That's all you got.
That was enough for Carter.
I would say just trying to make sure you're productive every single day. Like you have to do work pretty much every single day to stay on top of everything. So like during the day in between classes, like don't go back to your dorm and take a nap or anything. Like do your work throughout the day, and then you can spend time with your friends at night when nobody else has anything going on either. So just being productive during the day.
I agree. It's like he said, you're going to have that one point where you're like, I'm either doing enough or not doing enough because you don't have, parents telling you, oh, you should be doing schoolwork, you should be doing this or that. And for me, like some of my lectures were like 400 kids in a lecture. So like, especially with schoolwork, the professor is not gonna like, reach out to you if you're not doing well and let you know that you need to be doing more. So you really need to take it upon yourself to stay organized and just like Mrs. Newtown said, just kind of be disciplined on your own.
I would say that was honestly probably the biggest transition going to college, like finding that balance because like everyone has said, like in high school, it's very like your teachers are very much there for you. You have 40-minute classes, you go to all of them every day. In college, it's not like that at all. And it's like you have maybe this class only once or twice a week, and it's like you have to get your stuff done. And it's really hard to find the discipline if you're not thinking about it necessarily. But just finding time to really buckle down and get your stuff done because you have to. Because, like, I don't one of you said your teachers aren't going to like reach out if you're not doing well, and everyone says this, but skipping class is a gateway drug. It really is. Once you skip
It's so
once,
you do it once, it's
yeah.
all you want to do.
Especially when a lot of times you're going to a lecture hall, a big lecture hall, they're not taking attendance. No one's knows if you're there or not. So if you're not there, it's like, oh, they don't
Seems
even
like-
know. You don't. So
So,
Yeah.
Your professor does not care if you show up or not.
don't skip class.
yeah.
Don't.
So easy to come to it.
It quickly catches up with you, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
especially if your class, like some of the classes were like an hour and 20 minutes. It's not like you're missing 40 minutes, the first 5 and the last 5 here you're packing up. Like they teach for all 120 minutes, so you miss
there's
a lot of stuff.
A lot of information.
So let's really quickly, like size of the class. I heard you just said you were in a lecture hall with 400 students. What are sizes of some of your other classes that some of you took?
I mean, being at like a giant university, there's like 40,000 students there, so there's a big mix. I had one lecture hall that was literally like 600 kids, but I also was in a Spanish class and there were 20 of us. And my professor like knew everyone's name and she was really on top of that. But there's also, I don't know about any of you guys, but like my lecture halls that were like 100, 200, 300 kids, we had what was called a recitation, which is with a TA, and it was only like 20 kids. And so I would have like my econ lecture, which was 500 kids, and then I would go to my recitation one day, and it was a TA and only 20 kids, and we would relearn the information, which was really helpful.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. So in those classes that you have 400 students, how do you make that connection? How do you get the academic support that you may need to be successful in the class when you're a number sitting in that lecture hall? So how did you make connections with the professors for those classes that were so big?
Office hours. Go to office
Can you
hours.
talk a little bit about office hours, Billy, what that
So-
looks like?
So office hours are essentially like a time where the professor takes out of his day where he just like sits in his office and he like waits for students to like come essentially ask him questions. And it's really nice because it's usually like one-on-one time with your professor, and you get to like ask like any individual questions because like once again you're in like in this class of like hundreds of students, so you might like obviously might be timid to like ask questions like there. So it was nice. Like I had this one class that was really tough. I got to go in there, ask specific questions, get help with like homework and stuff like that, and I did actually like pretty well in that class because of it.
How about everyone else? What are some things that you did to get the academic support that you needed?
Well, I think for me, like my class sizes were like a lot smaller. Like I think my biggest class was maybe like 50 kids, but it's also like again like a very like different situation because like the classrooms are like a lot smaller, and so it's really like easy for the teacher or the professor to be more like personal with the students. Like all my professors like know me, and it's really easy to just like email them like if I need help or like again go in for like office hours. Like that's been really helpful. So yeah, it's like easy to like get that support, at least for me, just because like the classes have been smaller, but that's something that was like important to me at least. So yeah.
Okay.
Especially in like bigger classes, the TAs or like the ULAs are going to be your best friend. They're probably going to do most of your grading. They can kind of teach you offhand like some things that helped them from taking it last year or the year before that. So they're a big help, but office hours too.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so what I'm hearing is that, definitely take advantage of the academic supports that are around, the TAs, if it's a larger university that offers some TA support as well. Okay. So what do you think, being a Fairport grad, what do you think you were most prepared for when you went off to college?
I would say coming from like a big high school, it's not that different than going to a big college. Like
Yeah.
you're used to knowing a bunch of people. Like it's just different when you don't know everybody's like family and stuff. That's just like a bigger,
Weird.
yeah, that's a bigger change. But it's still like coming from a big school. You're used to like big groups of people, especially in the hallways and stuff. Like here, walking the hallways, you kind of learn to like fend for yourself. In college, same way. When it gets busy, you kind of got to fight your way through.
Okay.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
How about on the flip side? What do you think you were least prepared for during your first year of college?
I'd say definitely, like, it kind of goes along with what I said earlier, but just doing everything on your own. So, like, they might tell you what textbook to get and what homework you have to complete, but not how you access the homework, not how you get the textbook, especially because all of mine were online. So you have to go to the syllabus, you have to go to the website, like create all these accounts. Whereas like here, you're doing an account or something, and the teachers are walking you through it. But it's a lot more figuring stuff out on your own and kind of making connections with a lot of people in that class or just in general too who can help you with it.
Yeah, I was gonna just say like that sense of independence. Like you're independent in high school, but then you go to college and you're literally like completely on your own. Your parents are, in my case, they were 6 hours away from me. Like they're not helping me with anything. They have no idea how to get me involved. Like I have to do that all on my own. So, and also like Parker said, and we talked about this earlier, like figuring out how to balance everything while also surviving your first year of college and just being completely on your own.
I would say for me, so at my school, there were a lot of people that went to charter schools and border schools, so they've already had kind of like a at-home, I mean, not an away-from-home experience when it came to school. So it was just a little bit different because they're already all used to being so independent, and then coming from here, like it's not like that in any way. So it was just a little bit of an adjustment that way.
Okay.
I would say one of the biggest things is learning how to use your own like system at school, because there's like Blackboard, D2L, stuff like that. It's like kind of really confusing when you first look at it. So make sure you try and like get a feel for that and figure out like where everything is as far as your assignments, quizzes, tests, whatever.
So different technology, different programs to use to maintain your work. No, Parker, you mentioned that all of your books were online.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Like, did any of you buy books? Was it all consistently online? Can you talk a little bit about that, how you went about getting books?
So a lot of times it's in the syllabus. I bought all the books, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't look at a single textbook all year and did just completely fine. So if you can, don't buy it, I'd say, until you really need it because they are very expensive. Like just from the first semester, I think I spent like $650 on textbooks and just like other things for the classes that you like need, but you don't really need. So I'd say wait until you really need it if you can.
Yeah, like before the classes even start, when you sign up for them, you'll get like a list of all the textbooks you need,
Don't get it.
and don't buy them until you go to the class and the professor tells you what you're actually going to need. Because a lot of them were like, all right, you need this textbook, but it's online and here's the access code and I'm giving it to you for free. Or you have to pay $50, but put your credit card information in online, and then every assignment you ever have to do is in the textbook online. So I didn't have a single like physical textbook this year, but I did pay for a few through like an online program. But my roommate did have like a bio textbook that she used often, but it really just depends on the class. And my biggest piece of advice is definitely wait until you go to the class and the professor says what you need and what you really do or don't need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, can you share a little bit about you're going to be transferring to Nazareth after next year? Can you tell, did you do an official 2+2 program? And if not, what does that look like? And how does the advisement on the campus, how are you utilizing that to make sure everything you're taking is transferring to Nazareth and it's going to be a smooth transition? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I'm not doing like the like official 2+2, but I have talked to like advisors like at Nazareth and stuff. So I'm very like, I kind of know like what like I need to take, and I'm doing like marketing. So when I transfer, so I'm just doing like business and MCC, and so again like my advisor is like very aware and is able to like connect me with the Nazareth stuff that I need, and just being able to like do what I need for the program is like really important, and it's been like really good so far. Like, you know, everything that like I need to take and like prerequisites and stuff. So yeah, there's nothing so far that's been an issue, but I know people like my cousin, for example, like she had a lot of issues with like the 2+2 program just because like her advisor like wasn't great, and I know like a lot of people kind of had like issues with their advisors. Just like in general, sometimes it can be difficult, especially when transferring. So I think that yeah, it's just really important to like also like advocate for yourself and like be looking and like knowing what you need to take so that you're aware as well and not leaving it like in the hands of someone else too.
Right.
So
So you didn't do the official 2+2, but you stayed in close contact with your advisors to help you through that.
yes,
Very
yeah,
good.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's talk a bit about campus safety. You know, what does that look like? What is in place on your campuses to make sure that you are feeling safe? Some of you are in rural areas. Some of you are, you know, near cities or rural areas. Can you talk a little bit about campus safety and what was in place?
Yeah, so at Geneseo, there's like, so the campus have like their like own like kind of, it's essentially a police like force essentially. Then on top of that, they have like what's called like a blue light system, which I know is popular on like most campuses, where it's just like a big pole with like a blue light on top of it, and like in the middle there's like a button. Let's say you don't feel safe, like especially at night, you can like press the button, like it'll call like it knows like which button you press, and it'll call like the campus police essentially, and then like it'll know like what exact spot it is too.
Okay. Anything else that everyone had on their campuses?
Yeah, actually, unfortunately, Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio State in and of itself was the most unsafe that it has been this year in a long time, which was really, but I never like felt unsafe, which was good. But it was just like you would hear, because we are a pretty urban, we're not like in the city of Columbus, but we're right next to it. So there are a lot of like homeless people that live by campus, and just you see a very large group of people, and there's like a very unsafe area that everyone tries to avoid, but they have really upped campus security, and you see security everywhere. And we also have the blue light system, and they have been handing out like their like personal alarms, and they've been giving them to people for free, and you can just like carry those around. And like I said, I never felt unsafe, which I don't know if I should have at any point, but I never did. So, I mean, it was like scary they're called Buckeye alerts, and it's like, oh, stabbing in a parking garage, and it's like, oh, okay, that's weird. But it was never like people from campus. It was always like not a student, but it was by campus, which is scary, but it was very not student oriented usually.
Okay.
One thing that's big too is you'll have like an access card to get into your dorm building, especially your floor, if you live on the first floor. So like nobody's getting in there if they don't live there unless somebody comes and gets them. So that's one thing that's like made me feel safe, especially living there. Just nobody's coming in and out. That's not
Right.
supposed to really.
Okay. Very good. So, during your first year of school, I don't know if any of you became sick or injured or had any, concerns. How did that work? Like, what are some things that you did to, being sick for the first time, being away from home, not having mom or dad, be there? Did any of you experience anything like that? And what's there on campus for you?
At Houghton, we have a health center, and they're pretty much available like 24/7, and they'll provide you with medication and just support, and they'll give you instructions on like what to do. So that was definitely really helpful. But I still, even if you're sick, I still recommend like calling your parents, even if you're like 5 hours away. I think that can still be helpful. I still talk to my parents and just taking care of yourself, just getting good sleep, which can be hard as a college student. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not really much you can do but like rest when you're at college, and there you can go to the health center and there's like urgent cares around. And one time I like took an Uber to urgent care, but this was actually funny. One time everyone on campus was literally sick, and I went to CVS and Target, and the entire like medicine aisle was like cleared out. There was like you couldn't get anything. So actually, yeah, like my mom sent me with like a kit, like a like there was like NyQuil, Dayquil, like everything you could think of. My mom sent me with it, so that was really helpful. So like I use that often actually. So bring that, like something with just like medicine.
So have a stash of medication
Yes.
before you go, just in case.
Yeah, because you literally couldn't get anything that week when everyone was sick.
Yeah.
Jumping back to what Aiden said, I just talked to my parents because I'm not like, I don't really pay attention to like the medication and stuff. You need to make sure that you don't mix the medication. That's a big issue because sometimes you just like are not thinking about it. You're like, oh, I could take NyQuil. You're like, yeah, I just took like 3 Advil. Probably shouldn't take NyQuil or like something else like that. You don't want to mix medications like that.
So that's when we call home to
Yeah,
inquire about
that
what we
was
should
a
do.
I don't feel too good.
So let's go to that. Like talking about, calling home, coming home. Like how often did you talk to your parents or guardians? How often did you come home? Do you wish you would have not come home as much? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I try to call at least one of my parents on a daily basis, and a lot during the first semester I came home a lot, mostly because my brother is on the soccer team here, and yeah, like to be honest, I wish I didn't come home as much because I feel like I didn't have a connection that first semester, but obviously not coming home as much that second semester, I felt like I certainly got like, a lot of good connections because of
Okay.
that.
How about everyone else?
For me, I would call my parents probably once a week, maybe a little bit. Maybe it would be a little bit longer than a week. I didn't feel like I wasn't home very much, like maybe a few times throughout each semester. But I think it was a good balance, like, because I go to school 40 minutes away, so I can pick and choose when I want to be at school or when I want to be at home. So I think that's something to think about, because sometimes like you just get annoyed with everybody that you're around, and you just want to be by yourself. So.
For me, I think I didn't realize how far 6 hours really is. There were a lot of times that transitioning to college is hard, and I wanted to see my parents, but legitimately couldn't. I have no car on campus. You're not allowed to till junior year. So I couldn't drive myself home. I couldn't like get a flight home, or I could, but it's like a connecting flight. It's like a huge thing to get home. My parents coming to get me is 12 hours of driving for them. So it was just hard, but yeah, I would try to call them often. And then some weeks I was doing really good, and my mom would be like, oh, like, are you going to call? And then some weeks I was having a hard week, so I would call like every day. And it's just a mix, but just like having them there as support, no matter what, that knowing that they're there, you can call is like helpful too.
Right. Okay. So, thank you for that. And so after you got acclimated to campus and made some friends, what does this social life look like on campus? What do you do for some extracurricular activities and for fun?
Well, Carter is a part of Greek life, so if anyone has questions about that, he can share as much as he's allowed to share. But definitely a lot of the bigger schools, Greek life, always places to go at night, things to do. Like weekends will never be not anything to do, I guess. one person is having something and then everyone finds out about it, and that's pretty much it. Always something to do.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in Greek life, but I did know a lot of people that were. And like at some schools, it's a lot bigger than others. Like at my school, if you're not involved in Greek life, you can still find something to do no matter what. Like some smaller schools, Greek life is really big. But I did know a lot of people in Greek life, and we would hear about things going on. They would tell us, and so even though we weren't in Greek life, we could still attend and go to social events and things of that sort.
Yes, going to a smaller school like Geneseo only has 5,000, so Greek life is essentially all that we have. Like when it comes to like weekend stuff, but like being the manager of the soccer team, like obviously we'll like try like do like some like athletic stuff like during the off season. Like we'll play like futsal, which is like soccer in the gym, or like play basketball or something to try to occupy our time that way. Like if we don't have like a lot going on.
Okay. Did you want to say something,
Yeah.
Aiden?
Intramurals is also a big thing. Like we have like it will normally like be late, so like there won't be any like conflicts with classes. But like we had like flag football on the turf at like 10 under the lights, and basketball, volleyball, just like stuff like that. It's fun.
Oh, I also want to add something else. Sporting events are huge. At a school like Ohio State, every single sport you can go and have a good time, and there's gonna be people there, and it's really fun to just like go with your friends to a game. Like it's a really good time, and it's just a good like social event, and you're like watching a sport.
As dumb as it is, like if you get a bunch of people to go to the dining hall and like get a big group to sit down, like that's fun just to like sit down and like talk to a bunch of people, like
Yeah,
hear
we'll
how
sit
their
for, like,
week's
2
going, stuff
hours.
like that. It's like the stupidest thing, but it's like just going out, sitting down at a meal is like super fun.
Okay. All right, so we're kind of running close on time. I just want to do some quick fire questions for you. And one of those is meal plan or no meal plans?
Get one.
Yeah, one, yeah, 100%.
So how much did you put on it? Did you use it?
There's
Yeah.
like at Ohio State, there's like 3 different types of meal plans. There's an unlimited, I don't even know. It's really hard to explain. It took me like 3 weeks to even understand my meal plan. The unlimited at Ohio State, at least, was awful. Everyone that had unlimited hated it because you couldn't use it at like the cafes or like the Union. You could only use it at the dining halls, which there's only 3 of them, and they're like the worst option on campus. So I would not recommend getting an unlimited plan if you're going to Ohio State. I can't talk for any other school, obviously.
Yeah, like at Geneseo, I think for freshmen at least, you have to get the unlimited plan, and also you get like $500 to like spend on like cafes and stuff, and like we have a Starbucks on campus, you get to like spend that money there. So like unlimited, you just have to spend just on dining halls, then you get like a certain money. So I definitely recommend like getting as much money as you can, because I like already like burnt out all my money for the semester, like. And I was surviving off like $10 on there for like a month, so definitely get as much as you can for money wise.
Okay. How about technology? What do you recommend having students bring for technology for doing schoolwork?
I had a MacBook Air, and that was like helpful. And actually, Ohio State, they're actually stopping this program, but they provided everyone with an iPad, and that iPad I used constantly. But I mean, if I didn't have it, if it wasn't provided to me, I wouldn't have had it, and I would have been completely fine. But it was really helpful to have the iPad, like to take notes on and like have it all in one spot.
Okay. And how about top 5 things to bring to school? Necessities.
AirPods.
Shower sandals.
Shoes that you're okay with like absolutely destroying, because there would be times like obviously I got pretty nice shoes that I don't like want to destroy. So like if you're playing like soccer, like just walking around like pretty like crappy areas and stuff,
Okay.
get that.
What else?
This sounds dumb, but bring like 6 fans, because there's no AC, and you will wake up in a
I
pool of
got AC.
well, speak for yourself. No, but like you'll wake up if there's no AC and like a pool of sweat. It's nasty. So bring
one with AC here.
bring a lot. Bring a lot of fans.
What else?
I would say bring your debit card because it's really expensive to go to school. Like when you go out, it's like you just need money. Quite honestly.
So get a job this summer then?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're gonna need it.
Okay, so we are kind of wrapping up. I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions. Does anybody have any questions for our panel? No? Okay, panelists, and I'm going to turn it to you. Is there anything that you are burning to share that you have not had an opportunity to share with our group today?
Everyone says this, but just enjoy it. Like, I actually cannot believe the first year is already over, and I'm already so sad that to graduate in 3 years, and I feel like it's just going to fly by, and I'm already sad about it.
I would say when you get to school, it's pretty uncomfortable trying to reach out to people and like actually introducing yourself. But if you like that, like during your orientation time, try to reach out and speak to as many people as possible because then you're just going to be well connected from the start.
Oh, yeah, it feels awkward, but you have to do it. Everyone's going through the same thing.
Yeah, they're just as awkward as you are. So.
Freshman year, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself than you will academically, and it's not even like close to what you've learned about yourself in high school. You have to like fend for yourself, like take care of yourself while also trying to do school and have a social life. It's a lot, but it's not like I wouldn't feel overwhelmed about it. You'll figure it out as you go. It's not just all going to hit you at once. Like you kind of goes in stages along the way. At least for me, it did.
I'd say just take advantage of everything that the school gives you. There's resources from things to do that they pay for, from academics, social, like anything. They offer a lot, especially since you're paying so much to be there. Just, really, really like utilize it.
Take advantage of that free gym.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. I
Don't be a
appreciate it.
degenerate.
Bring us faith.
Don't be a degenerate.